live? Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of February. This is AI with Kyle. We're going to be running through the latest AI news and updates of the day. The big one, which is a nice break from the Claude bot, Moltbot, OpenClaw, Moltbook news that has been dominating the headlines for the last couple of weeks, is the new Codex app. So Codex is the coding assistant, the coding platform from OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. It has been available for a while now inside of their app version. So they have a cloud version of Codex. They've just released a desktop version, and it's going to be on Mac OS. I have it here, so I'm going to be able to show it to you. We're going to build something together. I'm going to basically kick the tires and try it out myself. I have not played around with it yet, so this is going to be entirely new. So you'll be learning at the same time as me. But just a couple of things about it quickly. So it came out yesterday. The big thing right now is that it is available for free users as well. So remember, at the end of December, Google released something called anti-gravity, and it has been, up until now, the best way for people to try out vibe coding, to try out AI coding without necessarily having to pay anything, because anti-gravity is free to use and it gives you free access to Claude, Gemini, and GPT OSS, the open source version. So for the last couple of months, I've been saying, if you want to learn to vibe code, if you want to try it out, go and use anti-gravity. That has been my recommendation until now. Now we have Codex, which is available on Mac OS, the application. And it looks like, well, one, it's available for free users, and two, the rates have been increased. So here we go. To celebrate the launch of the Codex app, we doubled all rate limits for paid plans for 2 months and added access for free and go. So if you are paying, you're going to get a lot of usage out of this. We're going to test it out in a moment, see what the limits are like. And if you're not paying, it is also available for you. Or if you're on the Go plan, which is the kind of intermediary one between paying full price, $20 a month, and paying nothing, you will have access as well. So this is currently only Mac OS. This is what it looks like. I've managed to get it working on my screen. Hopefully that won't cause too much difficulty. If you're on TikTok, you can only see my Codex, whereas on YouTube, I'll be moving back and forward between, or trying to move back and forward without showing you my horrible desktop covered in images, between my browser and Codex. So let's quickly look at what Codex is, and then we're going to hop in and build something, and I'll show you what I'm actually going to build. So based on a tweet I saw from Andrej Karpathy, he said, where was it? I'm finding myself going back to RSS and Atom feeds a lot more recently. There's a lot more higher quality long form and a lot less slop that's intended to provoke. So getting off Twitter, basically. Any product that happens to look a bit different today and that has fundamentally the same incentive structures will eventually converge to the same black hole at the center of the gravity well. I'm not sure how much of that is Moltbook and Claudebot, but the timing is interesting. We should bring back RSS. It's open, pervasive, hackable. Download a client, e.g. NetNewsWire or Vibecode one. So RSS feeds have been around for, God, since the beginning of the internet, basically, allow you to tap into blogs and to newsletters, etc. And you can pull feeds like this from sources that you find useful. I personally use Newsnet Reader, which is one that Karpathy talks about. What's it called? Newsnet Reader? It's an open source one. NetNewsWire. Wow. I got that name wrong. NetNewsWire, which has been around for ages, for about 20 years or so, because previously it used to be Google and Google Reader. Google Reader got killed, as Google like to do with their products, and there hasn't really been a good alternative apart from NetNewsWire. Andrej Karpathy is saying, hey, we need to bring this back. We need to focus on high quality material. You should vibe code your own RSS feeder. So that is what we're going to do. I've set up a project called RSS Reader, and we are going to go ahead and build something out together in the new Codex. So that's going to be what we are doing today. Codex in particular is a coding agent, a model that's been around for a while, and it's pretty good. It has not, for me, taken over from Claude Code, which is what I use for pretty much everything for all my building, but it is a decent contender. Interestingly, Claudebot was built entirely in Codex, and the creator of Claudebot, Peter, rates Codex, in fact, above Opus, which is very interesting. So with the Codex app, you can multitask effortlessly, work with multiple agents in parallel, and keep agent changes isolated with work trees. Cool, we like that. Create and use skills, very cool. Package your tools and conventions into reusable capabilities. Set up automations, delegate repetitive work to Codex with scheduled workflows in the background. Oh, that's interesting, because this is one of the big use cases of ClaudeBot, being able to set up an assistant that's always working for you in the background. These automations basically do what a lot of people want to get out of ClaudeBot. A lot of the kind of boring but useful stuff is kind of just automations. It's a cron job. It's something that triggers at a certain time, runs a process, delivers you the results. Most of the actual functional uses of ClaudeBot, the useful kind of business applications, are kind of that. And if you can get this this functionality without having to go through the very risky process of getting ClaudeBot up and running and secure, then this could be a contender. So the Codex app is available starting today on Mac OS, with Windows coming soon. They say that, but they always deprioritize Windows and it always takes forever. For a limited time, Codex is available through ChatGPT Free and Go. So free users can use this as well. And we're doubling rate limits for Plus, Pro, Business, Enterprise and Edu users across the Codex app, command line interface, IDE extension and cloud. Awesome. So we are going to jump in and have a look at it. Rate limits are doubled. They're holding a town hall, I think it's later today, 4 p.m. Pacific time. So if you have any questions that you want to take to Sam Altman and everyone else, we'll go there. Although a lot of the questions already are you going to build a ClaudeBot? Are you going to build a ClaudeBot? Build a ClaudeBot, please. But let's hop in and have a look at Codex. I'm going to quickly jump over to some questions, see if there's anything here. Morning, Lyra. How are you? We're testing out Codex today. Claude is OG. Yeah, I mean, Claude is very hard to beat, honestly. I'm just going to move that. There we go. Claude Code is very good. So whether or not Codex is good enough, or this new Codex app is good enough to beat it, tricky. However, ChatGPT has a huge user base of, it's pushing in on 1 billion users. 900 million was the last confirmed usage amount. So if this is opening up AI coding, vibe coding to more people, great, fantastic. So here we go. This is the Codex app. I have it now on screen. So what I'm doing is I've created a new project called RSS Feeder. It looks like they're calling them threads here, interestingly. I can add a new project and it will connect it to a folder on my desktop. I can obviously, sorry, not obviously, I'm going to start the basics. I can connect it to GitHub here. So I haven't done that yet, but GitHub very broadly is basically cloud storage for your project. When you are creating a project, you should definitely add it onto GitHub here. I'm not logged in for some reason, but GitHub is free to use, at least in the basic, and it will allow you to push your project from something like Codex into GitHub, and it allows you to keep all of the versions. So if you needed to roll back to a certain version, you could do that. Or if you wanted to work on a feature which doesn't affect your main software, but maybe you want to tinker around with a feature you want to add, you can branch off and play around and create that new feature, work on that new feature, and then when you are ready, you can merge, you can bring that into your main branch, and that's what it's called, and that allows it to be usable by your users. So we use GitHub for storage, for being able to roll back like a cloud save basically, and for things like version management. It's also really useful if you have multiple people working on your project, because you can work on the same project at the same time without causing conflicts. So we can connect it to GitHub. I'm not going to do that yet. I've also got an open button here. Oh, now that is interesting. It's allowing me to take my project out of their new application into Cursor, which is the one I use personally, Windsurf, Anti-Gravity, Finder, Terminal, and Xcode. Now Xcode is for if you are building Mac applications, especially if you're building an iOS app. You might want to build the basics here and then export it into Xcode, and then you can finalize it and get it ready for publishing on the App Store. So that is built in right here. Very cool. And it's also got Cursor and Anti-Gravity. Anti-Gravity is Google. Cursor is its own thing. Windsurf. Who owns Windsurf now? God, who bought one? Someone bought Windsurf, and I'm blanking out. Was it Meta? Cognition. Cognition bought Windsurf. I knew somebody had. So you can send to all these different IDEs. You can send it into terminal, etc., etc. So that's useful. So they're not locking it into one system and saying you can't go and play in these other systems. Instead, they're allowing you to very easily move between. I think that's smart and that's very useful. So what have we got? We've got a new thread. So a thread here is like a chat. And it looks like, I think, so this is one project here, my RSS reader project, and it's going to have multiple threads in it. So I'll be able to have different conversations about it, and they'll all be in here. Good. They have folders for our chats. That's one of the big problems with ChatGPT, is not having folders. So at least we can do that with our project. So we can start a new thread. We can make sure it's in a particular project. Yep, so we're in the RSS feeder. We have automations. So automate work by setting up scheduled tasks. This is very cool. So this is, let's see, let's have a look at the interface. Prompt, etc. Okay, so you just give it a basic prompt, and then this will run in the background. Now I can see this being extremely valuable, depending on what you're building, but very, very cool. And then we have skills. Oh, we have a bit of a bug here. It's unable to load the recommended skills for whatever reason. But this allows us to create skills and to install third-party skills. However, their skills marketplace seems to be broken, which is not a great start, but still, that's fine. Let's see, new skill. Oh, this is for creating a skill. We're not going to do that yet. So let's hop back into our RSS reader and create a new thread. So we're in a thread, which is a chat, basically. I'm not going to commit it. I'm not going to do anything yet. I've got a diff panel here. I mean, I've just created it. So, okay, so it's made me... Oh, what is this? Oh, it's from another project. So why is that showing up? Okay, hopefully that won't get in the way. So we have the model selection. We have Codex Medium, Codex High, Codex Extra High. So Codex is their particular... it's a bit confusing here. Codex here is a kind of a fine-tuned model. It's a version of 5.2 that's been tuned for coding. So that's what we're going to use. They have medium, high, and extra high. Let's stick it in high for now. They also have GPT 5.2, 5.2 high, and GPT 5.2 extra high. And more models. What do they have? God, the naming of these things. So all of GPT 5.1s. Okay, we're going to ignore them. So we'll stick it in... excuse me, we'll stick it in high for now. So what we're going to do whenever we start a project like this is we'll generally chat to it about what we want to build before we rush in and build it. Normally I would do this over in Claude code, in Claude, and I would sit with it and I'd spend a long time doing this. I might spend hours working out the scope, working out the kind of what we need to build, what the stages are, the steps, etc., and then bring that over into Claude code and get to work on it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep this lighter, and I'm just going to say, let's say, I want to build... Oh, actually, can we use my microphone, because that's even easier. I want to build an RSS feeder that initially I can deploy as a web app, which allows me to pull in all of my various RSS feeds, and then tag certain articles as ones I want to discuss on my live show every morning. So a way to pull in information, filter it, sort it, and then potentially even tick it as, okay, I've covered this. This is something that I've created content on. It will initially be a web app, but I would like to at some point develop it into an iPhone app. So we're not going to do that as a primary concern, but that should be something which we can extend to in the future. Before we get started, I don't want you to rush off. I want you to ask me some clarifying questions, and we're going to put together a project plan together. And then once we've done that, we can get cracking. Thank you. So being able to dictate makes it a lot easier. So I am not going to touch any code. I'm not going to write any code. I haven't even specified what we're building it in. I've said we're building a web app, so it probably worked out for me. And then I said I want to build an iPhone app later. but I haven't specified anything technical. So it sounds like a great practical project. Happy to pair with you on it. Before we plan, here are a few focused questions. So I'm just going to answer these using the microphone. Okay, I'm going to answer your questions, but I'm going to repeat them just for my clarity. So primary users, is it just for you or should we design for multiple users / auth in the future? Initially, just for me. Actually, this is a hobby project, so just for me, no users, no auth. Second question, feed scale. Roughly how many RSS feeds do you expect to ingest at launch? How frequently should we refresh them? We are going to ingest 50 RSS feeds, but we don't need to hard code them in. We're not going to launch with those feeds in. I'm going to, once the app is working, add those RSS feeds one by one. How frequently should we refresh them? Every 6 hours. Tagging workflow. What tags do you want? E.g. discussed today, covered maybe, custom topics. And do you need bulk tagging? Really good question. Bulk tagging, yes. Really good question. So it depends on how we're doing this. So it's primarily for me to process data. Process articles from RSS feeds into my live shows. So I kind of want I want it simpler than this. Oh, you know what I'd love? Let's make it like Tinder. I just want to be able to swipe left for yes, I'm going to discuss this, or swipe right for no, I'm not going to discuss this. So it allows me to go through a set of feeds, go through all the stories and be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 no, etc. So we don't even need tagging. Let's just do it for yes and no. And then we will need a form of tagging for I have covered this. This was covered on the show later, and that's just for organization. So let's do that instead. That'll be fun. So 4, show workflow. Do you want a morning rundown, view, or export? Great question. Didn't think about this. I would like a rundown, yes. So once I've yes node, yes node, yes node, break it into, or drop them into a list, basically. Ideally one where I can sort the order, so make them draggable entries. I can change the priorities, so I can set them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And then in terms of the export, I just need a web page basically that I can have open. That will do for now. 5, content sources. Are we only ingesting RSS? Ooh, this is a good question. Yes, I'd like to ingest RSS. I would also love to pull in newsletters and Twitter, as you say. So Twitter, yeah, Twitter and newsletters. YouTube is not so important. Tech preference, any preference for stack? You know what? I normally use Supabase and Next.js, but we could build this in Firebase. Actually, no, I'm going to do that a Google one. No, you decide for me. Assume that I'm a total tech noob and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I want your help choosing these things. So propose one, optimize for web now and iOS later, please. Thank you. Hosting, do you have a platform in mind? Probably Vercel. Once you answer these. Okay, cool. So I'm going to vibe this. I'm not getting into details of it. I'm not doing any research. I'm just saying let's go for it, and because I want to see how it can do with kind of limited instructions. Normally, again, we'd spend a lot more time on this planning process, but I want to see what it can do. Oh, I can see why it's shown me. I'm in the wrong folder. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. This is a really fun and focused concept. Let's shape it into a solid foundation you can grow into. I'm going to make this a bit bigger for you guys. Here's a quick recap of what I've heard. So recap, single user, no authorization. The reason I'm doing this is it just makes it a bit easier, because as soon as we start to add the ability to have users, different users, we need to set up more stuff in the back end. So we need to allow for username creation, passwords. We need to have the ability to enter email addresses and send people their authorization via email. So then I need to add an email service. Then we need to have more security. We might want to add Google authorization to sign up using Google, etc. It just adds a lot of work. So we're going to skip that for now. We're going to make it single user just so we can get something up and running. Start with RSS only, add newsletters and Twitter. That's fine. Feeds added manually in the app over time. around 50 total. Yep, refresh every 6 hours. Triage UI, I love that. Tinder-style swipe cards. So swipe left is discuss, swipe right is no. No tagging now, only statuses. So yes, no, and covered. Rundown page, list of yes items with drag and drop ordering and priority. Export just a website and hosting on Vercel. So it's saying we should build on Next.js. Yes, perfectly happy with that. Supabase, perfectly happy with this. This is all stuff that I have used before, so it's nice and easy. Vercel cron. So a cron job is basically a little process, a little snippet of code that's going to run on a timer. So you set a little timer in the background to check at, let's say 6 p.m, midnight, 6 a.m, and midday, and it will run the code, whatever's attached to that cron job at that time. Server-side ingestion. Yep, that's fine. iOS ready. We'll build clear API routes so future iOS app can reuse them. So I'm not going to stress that too much, but build out the application. And I'm telling it right now that maybe one day I want this as an iOS app. That's not what I'm going to be building on this live stream, but that is fine for now. So it's giving me a draft project plan. So confirm status isn't exact. Okay. So it's asked me a few more questions. Rundown scope, what should be the default behavior? So I would like that's a really good question. You know what? Do it automatically. So auto create a list for each date. So it's giving me the option between a daily rundown and a manual rundown where I click start today's rundown. No, just use the date of the articles because the dates act as a little bucket, and that's perfectly fine. Access control, since it's single user, should we add a lightweight gate? Yeah, sure, you can add a simple passcode page, and I'll set up a little basic passcode. This is more because I'm doing it live on stream and somebody could hop in and have a rummage around, so I'll set a password. I'll probably set up some more security, but honestly, this is not a high-risk application, so I'm not too worried. Or I could just run it locally on my computer, and that would be fine too, but I'd rather have it online. Because I'm talking to the live stream as well, hopefully Codex will ignore that stuff. But there's a risk here that me talking to the live stream and talking to Codex at the same time will create problems, but I think we'll be fine. All right, love it. Gives us clear direction. Here's agreed plan. Your decisions baked in plus 2 small details. So confirm. Left is discuss, right is equals skip. Yep. So it's got statuses. So new, yes, no, and covered. That's good. RSS ingestion. This all looks fine to me. Time zone for daily buckets. Really clever. That's a really smart idea because I forgot about that. Time zone. I'm based in London, in the UK. So use that. Password gate. Yep. Just a single environment variable. That is absolutely fine, and I can add that in Vercel for you, no problem. Let's, however, if we can get a local version previewed and running in Codex in here, that would be really great, and then we'll set up Vercel, then we'll set up Supabase, etc. But I'd love to just get a very, very basic proof of concept done first, so I can see what that looks like before we worry too much about the back end, if that works for you. Thank you. So what I'm doing here is for the live stream, but also it's kind of useful anyway. Instead of me building out all of the back end, all of the databases, all of the security, all of the kind of ingestion mechanics, etc., I'm just saying, hey, let's go ahead and make a really basic toy version. I'm going to play around with it, and then I'll be able to give feedback based on that. That's good for the live stream because you guys can see something, because me rummaging around in Supabase is not very exciting, it's not very useful. But at the same time, creating a toy version allows you to see what problems you're going to run into later. Because I might build this toy version and then realize that the swiping interface just kind of sucks. It's a bad idea for this particular project, so let's drop that and use something else. That's why we're doing it. So I'm saying strip out all the complication and go ahead and just build me a version. So it's going to do that in the background. While it's doing that, I'll go back to questions because I don't know how long it's going to take because I've never used this before. For those of you who are just joining us, we're trying out the new Codex app, which is on Mac OS. It is free to use if you have a ChatGPT account until I believe April, so you have 2 months to play around with it. They have also doubled the rate. If you're on a paid plan, you get double the normal amount. I don't know how much that is, and I don't know if I can indeed see how much I've used. But we are just putting together a little toy project to see if we can get it done, and if it can produce something for me. Fakan says, what vibe code is that? So this is the new app from ChatGPT. This is Codex. So using they've had Codex Cloud for a while. Codex has existed as a model, but as of yesterday, they've just released this this new app, and it looks pretty powerful. It looks like we can do quite a lot with it. And it is also free right now, so go and try it if you want to. Oh, I'm being told by Tony, Tinder is swipe right to like and left to dismiss, by the way. Yeah, I was getting caught up over that. It tells you how long ago it was that I used Tinder. Is it swipe right to like? Yeah, that sounds, yeah, you're right. That's fine. We'll manage. James is saying, interesting, maybe a Tinder for VC project pitches might be interesting. Yeah, I mean, we can make a Tinder for anything, any kind of information. I'm surprised that social media sites haven't started to use more Tinder-like interfaces. The reason being, it's quite a good natural way to say, I'm interested, I'm not interested, I'm interested, I'm not interested. And you could train an algorithm really quickly based on that. I mean, obviously they watch and see how long we spend time looking at content, how much we watch a video, etc. But just having a swipe mechanism seems like a nice thing to add to a social media site. Right, here we go. Thanks for the clear direction. This is a fun build, and I put together a local proof of concept so you can see the flow. Okay, so it's done it. Cool. So we're gonna, has it already done it? So I'm gonna open up terminal. Can I open terminal from here? Oh, I can. Oh, I can do it from here. I wonder if it can control the terminal for me. Let me ask. You have terminal access. Can you run it? So terminal, this thing at the bottom is, if you ever use DOS or anything like that, is, oh, I think it's doing it, is it looks like this. It's often a barrier if you are new to vibe coding, if you're new to AI coding, where as soon as it's like, you need to write this stuff into terminal. For a lot of people, that's like, what? I thought we weren't doing this code stuff. That's why Lovable is great, because Lovable would have just given me the preview. It'd be like, boom, here you go. So Codex is saying, okay, I've built this for you, but now you need to run it on your local host. You need to, write in Python 3 to set up this like local host server. However, a lot of people will run this, and it's going to say, oh, you don't have Python 3 installed. And then they're in a process of, oh God, how do I, what does that mean? What the hell is it? And it looks intimidating. I mean, it is intimidating. So it acts as a barrier for a lot of people. We're having that here on Codex. I was hoping it would just be like, here you go. This is what it looks like. So totally fair ask. I tried to start the local server, but the environment won't keep a background process alive, and the server needs to bind. So I can't keep it running from within Codex. The easiest way is if you run it locally. Okay, so let's see if we can do it down here so that I'm not juggling windows. If you want, I can try running it in the foreground, or we can jump straight into the next scaffolding. Okay, so it has set up. There we go. Oh, what was the password? Was it just password? No, I think the blank password. I wasn't paying attention. What did it say? What's the password? Oh, the passcode is passcode. Now, if you are on Twitter, you won't be able to see this because I'm not able to share that screen. Why can't I? So if you're on TikTok, you won't be able to see this. So hop over to YouTube so you can see all of my screen. So set config as passcode. Oh, this demo. Sorry. This is what happens when you are also live streaming. There we go. Okay. I'm in. So left is discuss, right is skip. So I can go, boop. Nice. Creators push for better revenue. So I'm saying, I don't want that one. Get rid of that. Creators, that's the same one. So get rid of that. Streaming platforms test new discovery. I don't know why this is showing me the same thing again, so I'll click skip. Okay, so the basic idea works. So let's see if we did left is discuss it. I quite like that. Oh, this is kind of cool actually. Right, so let's put them all in, and then we can drag them. Yeah, there we go. So then what I'd be able to do is ideally, so I can tick that as covered. Ideally, I'd also be able to open up the content from here, or maybe it's even, so we'd have the rundown. Yeah, when we go to the live show, I'll have a different interface where I have the rundown on the left, and then I have the content on the right, and it allows me to go through step by step. So, okay, we've got the basics done. That basically works. The design's quite nice. I'm okay. I quite like that design. Vibe coding tools have this thing about gradients, and we have a gradient here. We have a cream gradient on the left and a kind of into a green. At least it's not purple. Purple gradients are a vibe coding thing, but that is okay. I'm all right with that. So I'm going to say to it, cool, let's go ahead and push ahead with the creation. So annoyingly, oh, let me see if I can run it in the foreground here, and if we can get it up on the screen for you guys on TikTok. Try running it in foreground. I don't know what that's going to do. So that's a bit of a limitation I'm seeing, is the fact that I can't preview directly in Codex. That is not the end of the world, and if you're comfortable with code, if you're comfortable with running localhost, if you're comfortable with getting it onto a server and running it, this is no problem at all. However, if you're just coming to vibe coding for the first time, I can imagine this will be like a, what the hell are you asking me? Because it would give you something like this. It's like, the easiest way is for you to run it locally. So just, bash Python 3-m http.server 8000, and you're like, what? Now, if you do run into something like that, you can say, I don't understand how to run this locally. You can just say, to the AI, I don't know what you're talking about. So you can work through these kind of issues. So I've said to it, there we go, totally fair. Let's make this super simple. I'll give you the exact steps for your Mac. Step by step, open terminal. So that's what I did. Paste this and enter. Press enter. Let's do it and see if it works. So sorry, you can't see this on screen. Python. Okay, so that actually hit an error. Oh, but it hit an error for a good reason, which is it's already in use. So what I'll actually do is put it on 8001. There we go, that worked. And then go to your browser. So you go over to, let's do it 8001. There we go. And then this is demo. So that does work. So it's given me instructions about how to do it, and those instructions work. So I'm happy with that. Let me kill that process. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so if you do run into problems with anything in vibe coding, you just ask. You ask the AI how to use the AI, if that makes sense. Still, I'm a little disappointed they don't have a local preview, because that's what makes Lovable, that's what makes Replit, that's what makes Base 44 and all of these other vibe coding apps a lot easier for people to use. And this means that this is still going to be for people who are coders, but it's a step in the right direction at least. Okay, so let's say to it, okay, that's working. It looks great. What are the next steps? So we built our proof of concept. We built a very quick demo. Did it pretty fast, I would say. And again, you'd be able to do this on the free account. So I'm happy so far. So that's awesome to hear. It's a great sign the flow already clicks. The next step depends on how fast you want to get real data versus polishing the UX. So lock the UX. Okay, so what I'm going to say. Great. Sounds good. One quick thing, I actually got the Tinder swiping wrong. It is right for yes and left for no. So if we could reverse the swipe order, that would be awesome. UX is fine. What we're going to do though, or what I'd like to do, is once we have locked down the day, the content for the day, I want a different view where the content that we're covering appears on the left of the screen, and then a preview or even the full content can be opened on the right of the screen, which allows me to have a running order on the left, the rundown on the left, and then on the right hand side to have the actual content, because right now the cards don't do anything. It's just a list of headings, which is not going to help me. So I'd like to pull that in, so that's going to be part of our RSS functionality. Lock the apart from that, that's fine. We just need a second screen, so we have one for here is the new content, do you want to cover it or not, and then we need a second for here's today's rundown and a preview of the actual content, and that's where we'll actually check like I've covered this, rather than on the first screen. So scaffold the real app, yep, that's fine. You can build it in Next.js. Add a real data model. Could we do this locally for now? The reason is I want to, one, keep it as proof of concept, and I don't want to start setting up tables yet, and two, I'm doing this on a live stream, so I want to keep this lightweight, so we can show what Codex can do, rather than you know, me having to dig into the guts of setting up a Supabase table. It's just going to be better for the live stream, so bear that in mind, and then later off stream I'll get it done properly. RSS ingestion tab, that's fine. Let's for now just have a simple ingestion. Don't worry about the cron job. Don't worry about getting it every 6 hours. Instead, I'm just going to give you some RSS feeds, and you'll pull the last 5 items, and that'll be fine. And then deploy and Vercel, again, we'll do that a bit later. Let's continue in proof of concept for now, but you go ahead, and we'll run it locally for now. Thank you. Okay, so again, I'm cutting some corners because we're doing it on the live stream and I want to show what we can do. And me doing the Supabase stuff and the Vercel stuff is not very interesting, and it's better not on stream, because it's not very visual and it's not very exciting, and there's also security issues for me, because once I go into my back end and you can see it's bad phrasing, and you can see my setup, it's a little bit risky, and I'd need to work out how to blur things. That's why, apologies for that. So while it's doing that, I'm going to scroll back and see if there's any questions. Cowork was released on Windows, but can't get it to link to Chrome. Oh, did it just come out? Because I know they were on Mac first. So Cowork, Claude. Or was it always on Windows? Sorry. So Cowork is available using Claude desktop app on Mac OS. Have they put it on Windows too? Confirm Windows support is in active development with a target release of mid-2026. What are you using, Lyra? Because I thought it wasn't out yet. But I might be wrong, because I wasn't paying attention. So all of these AI companies release for Apple first, probably because they're all Apple users, and also because a lot of them are. No, that doesn't make sense. I was about to say a lot of them are creating for the developer market, but there's plenty of developers on Windows, so that was complete nonsense. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's going to take a little while, and I don't have any questions. So what I did want to have a look at is later today. Where is it? Here we go. So later today, 4 p.m. Pacific time, OpenAI are doing a town hall. Now, bizarrely, the last time they did one of these on YouTube, they turned the comments off, which is not very open. It's the opposite of open. They just told us about it. But they say that we want feedback as we start building a new generation of tools. This is an experiment and first pass at a new format. Okay, so maybe this time they are opening up to questions. And they're saying reply here with questions and we'll answer as many as you can. And most people are saying, hey, when you're making a Claude bot, build us a Cowork and a Claude bot, please. Does OpenAI plan to ship its own Claude bot? Now, as I mentioned, the fact that this has automations will allow for some of the jobs of Claude bot to be done. I mean, we've been able to do automations for a while using Zapier, using N8N, using various tools, but just making it easier. putting it into the hands of more people is always really useful. So the automations here in this co-work app might actually do a fair amount of what people are doing with Claude Bot. The less exciting, the less sexy, the less dangerous stuff, but the actual useful stuff is primarily just automations. But the other questions are, what's this one? Why is OpenAI so focused on long asynchronous workflows? Is it a technical limitation or a design choice? The difference between Codex High and Claude Code often means I use them for different tasks because of the unique user experience of chatting and waiting, despite preferring GPT 5.2 and how much it searches. So what he's talking about here is the fact that this is taking a long time. So it will go off and it will go and do its own tasks, but it will take potentially 10-15 minutes, which is terrible for my stream. However, I mean, this is fairly anecdotal, but generally Codex will get things right the first time. So you set it up, you give it 10-15 minutes, it goes off and does its own thing, brings you back something, and generally it's good. Generally it's a really high result. It just takes a long time, which if you are building something means you are sitting around and you have a lot of dead time. Now obviously I could start up other threads, I could start building other features in here. I'm not going to do this here because it's a relatively simple application and I haven't set up GitHub. But with Claude Code, it tends to work faster and then get back to you, and then you can kind of keep iterating. So Claude Code's a little bit more kind of hands-on. Generally, you're not waiting more than a couple of minutes, whereas Codex will happily go and work for 10-15 minutes. So Nick is asking, why is that? Is it just because your models are slow? Or is this intentional and it's about an asynchronous workflow? If other people laugh, it's Kitzer laughing because it's not as good as Claude Code, I assume. Something about 4.0. So 4.0, as I've covered in a few videos, is being deprecated. In 10 days' time, 4.0 will no longer exist on the ChatGPT app, which I know is upsetting for a lot of people. So I hope you're taking feedback on for stopping the routing too, and I don't even know what you've done to 4.0 or 4.1. None of them are working properly right now. Unfortunately, I don't think David Stark knows they're about to be deprecated, so he's going to be unhappy. Here we go. Here, another person saying we have no plans to saying on October 28th, you said we have no plans to sunset 4.0. 23 days later, you announced the deprecation plans for GPT 4.0 latest. How can builders trust your roadmap when you change that fast? Will you commit to a 2025 4.0 snapshot to restore stability? Let's see if there's what people are saying about this one. Yeah, so people getting angry about that. If you're asking for genuine feedback, here's a crucial one. Professional tools require stability and user autonomy. The current safety router creates an unpredictable environment that undermines utility of your most capable models. So the routing issue was a really big deal back with GPT-5, where you had no idea which version you were getting. You had to put in a request and sometimes it would come back and it was lobotomized, and you're like, what is this? Because it's like using GPT-3. And sometimes it would come back with an absolute masterpiece and you had no control over what that was, because they were trying to unify the model into just GPT-5 and allow you to not have to worry about the model, because it would always use the right model for the task. That relied on them setting the routing or the routing in the background, and they didn't do a very good job. So as a rollback on that, they introduced the different thinking models, they introduced different models, and you could start to choose again. So they went from one model and it proliferated. If you are using something like Codex, which is still thinking, good God, you can choose the different models. So you have medium, high, extra high, and then in more models, you can even get Codex low. I don't know why you would. That's probably going to be faster. Codex, and then all of 5.1 models as well. So they went from trying to have one model, GPT-5, to suddenly, again, a proliferation. And if you're on the pay plan, you can still get access to 4.1, 4.0, 4.2, etc., etc. Victor Saw says, can I use Codex on Windows? The new app, the one that we're playing around with now, no, you cannot, I'm afraid. It came out yesterday on Mac OS. However, you can use Codex inside of ChatGPT. So there is a cloud version of Codex. There's also a command line version of Codex. What's new, what came out yesterday, is this specific Mac OS app, which is pretty cool because it keeps all your threads in here in folders. It allows you to set up automations, plugin skills, etc. It's a bit more fleshed out than the Claude version. I'm not sure if I'll be moving from Claude code to this. However, this is free for now. So they've opened it up to free users, which is very cool. I have no idea what the limits are on that. The limits might be microscopic, in which case, what's the point? But for now, it is free. Okay, so that's a great next step. I'm glad the proof of concept feels good. Let's keep that momentum. I've scaffolded a lightweight Next.js proof of concept, POC, reverse the swipe direction, and added a second rundown preview screen. So it's done everything that I asked for just now. So what does it want me to do? It wants me to install, that's fine. It wants me to install oh, idiot. I'm going to do this in terminal. So I can actually do it all in one go. Boop, there we go. So notice what I did there. I copied all 3 lines, chucked them all into terminal and pressed enter, and it's able to do them one by one. There we go. So that is now got a dev server starting for me, and it's going to be at localhost 3000. Again, if you are on, that's not up yet. If you are on TikTok, you won't be able to see this. Oh, what happened? Compiled, compiling, trash, undecided. Cannot. So I'm seeing an error. So all I'm going to do is, because I'm going to be lazy, I'm going to copy that, stick it back into Codex, and basically say, hey, it's not working. So I'm giving it the error. So Next.js is outdated, so I don't know why I installed that one. I see the issue. Thanks for the error output. The use effect depends on depends on undecided was declared before undecided was initialized. So again, there's a lot of code here. So what's happening is this, where is it? Actually, we don't need to go into it. What I've just done is I've just taken the error code, given it back to the AI, and it changed things. So we're now going to rerun the dev server. So npm, and it will start it on a new localhost. Or not. So I'm being sloppy here. Where did we have this? There we go. So this CD thing you'll hear is change directory. It's just moving me into that directory, but we're doing it using the terminal rather than clicking on a folder. So it looks complicated, but again, you're just copy pasting this stuff. There we go. That has started in 1,000. I don't know why I'm copying that. Right. So again, we are back in. So now we have 2 pages. We have one called triage, which is the where the new items appear, and I can move them into my rundown. And then I have a second one, which is my rundown, where I can see the rundown for the day, and then I can preview the content. But what we're actually going to do, let's see if we can pull in an actual, let's get Ethan Mollick Substack RSS. So what I'm going to do, does anyone know what is it just /rss.xml? What's the RSS for Substacks? Does anyone know? I've done this before, I should know this. Substack, feed. So it should just be this /feed will give me the RSS. There we go. So RSS is just a list of all of your content on your, if you have a blog, if you have a newsletter, and you want to syndicate it, you want to allow people to get it into their readers, you can create a feed like this. You don't need to know what this is or what it looks like. This is just for this particular app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ingest this feed. There we go. So now Ethan Mollick's RSS feed is in my app. I'm going to fetch latest items. No idea if this will work. imported 5 items. Okay, so let's go back. Let's get rid of these example ones. There we go. Management as AI superpower. So this is from Ethan Moll. Oh look, that's cool. I didn't ask for that animation, but that's cool. This is from One Useful Thing, so I can see One Useful Thing. Management is an AI superpower. I might want to get like put an image or something just to make it a bit more visible for me. But I'm going to say, okay, that's something I'm going to discuss. I'm going to go ahead and pull in all of those. So I've pulled in 5 of Ethan Mollick's articles. Then we go over to the rundown, and it's like, okay, this is. Oh shit, it worked. I didn't expect it to work so well. So now I have my rundown here, Tuesday the 3rd of February. I can reorder these, and that is working. Yep, that seems to be working. So let's say I want to talk about this one first, giving your AI a job interview. Cool. I now have the whole article here. I've got a little bit of a width issue, but I'm fine with that. But I now have the article, and I can use that for notes. I could potentially prettify this and make it what I actually show on my live stream. That would be kind of cool. But that means I have the article. I could also add a little summarize with AI button to pull out the main talking points. That would be cool. I don't know what this is. Open source. Oh, open the source material, not open source. Okay, so that pulled up the actual web page. So normally on my stream, I would show the web page like this, which I'll probably still do. But this allows me to have all of the things I'm going to talk about in one place, and I can go to the next one, talk about the Jagged Frontiers. Maybe I want to open it up, show it on stream. Absolutely, I can do that. So that basically works. The RSS feeder works. It can pull that. When I fetch the latest items, it pulls them in here. It's already got the latest 5 items, so it's not bringing any more in. So what I would now do is I would add all of my sources, and I'm going to include Twitter accounts like Andrej Karpathy, for example, Sam Altman, OpenAI. I'd add them all in here, and then each morning I'm going to have the swipe queue, where I can just go through and be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and then have a daily show rundown. I'll probably also add an archive of the stories as well, so I can go back and look at other ones. There's a lot of things I can do based on this framework, what I'm putting together today. Now, that's not the important thing. The important thing is I was able to build this in less than an hour. It would have taken a lot less if I was not talking to camera, using this new Codex app. So it's good. I'm happy with that response. I'm happy with what it's built for me. Could I build it in Claude Code? Yeah, 100%. But Claude Code is a little more technical to get started up with, whereas this is just an app you can install. This is not requiring me yet to connect to a GitHub, although you should 100% connect to a GitHub, so you can keep a record and save everything. You can also have automation skills, etc. Skills are a bit broken, but that's fine. So you can extend it. It is also, most importantly, free at the moment. So if you are on the free ChatGPT plan and you have Mac OS, you can download this and you can start to play around with this. Whereas if you want to use Claude Code, realistically, it's going to cost you $100 or $200 per month. So that is a lot of money for people. Whereas we can get started with Codex and we can start building something. I would say the downsides, upside is it's free and it's good. I mean, I'm happy with the response. It looks good, and it's been able to build out that project for me very easily. So I'm happy with that. On the downside is the fact that there's no preview panel. That's a nice thing to have. Especially if you are not comfortable with AI coding or with vibe coding. Having to suddenly mess around with the terminal, and potentially you've never used the terminal before, is going to be a barrier for some people. Again, I showed you how we can just ask Codex, like, I don't know what you're talking about, can you help me through this? And it will. But even that is asking a lot from the user. So having a preview window would make this a lot better. Like Codex, like Lovable, like Replit, like those other vibe coding apps. The other thing is Codex is slow. As Nick Dobos was talking about, or asking in that Twitter thread that we looked at, Codex just takes a long time. That's fine if you've got lots of processes running and maybe they're all running for 10-15 minutes. You come back to them, you check out what they're doing, and then you move on. That's absolutely fine. But if you're sitting here waiting for Codex to finish one task, it's a little bit inefficient. So if you are going to be using it, I'd be running parallel projects, parallel threads, trying to get as much out of it as possible. You could also experiment with, I'm using high. You could potentially drop it down to medium or low if you're feeling really really frisky. You don't have to use very high. You don't need to use the best model just because it exists. I would, for maybe earlier things like when you were doing the planning, put it in extra high, because you want to take your time, you want to get a really solid plan in place. And then when you're doing simpler things like, I don't know, the UX, UI, maybe you can drop it down. When you're doing more complicated things about functionality, you put it back up. You just kind of get a feel for it. Or if you're happy just waiting, that's absolutely fine as well. You can scroll social media or maybe read a book. That's something that I should probably be doing instead of going on TikTok. So all in all, pretty good. I'm happy with this. I will continue this project. I'm going to build it out for myself. I'll continue to do it in Codex, mainly as an experiment. Again, I could do it in Claude code, but I think for an experiment and to use Codex more, I'm going to give it a shot. It's also free. Good reason. So go and try it out. If you do want to try it out, go into your ChatGPT account, and then on the left hand side there will be a button that says Codex, and you'll see this little icon. It will immediately pop up and say, hey, you need to download this. So if you tried to get into the cloud version, I'll show you. If you tried to, here's Codex on the left. Oops. If you try to get into the cloud version, it's immediately going to be like, no, download the app. So you can ignore that and continue to the cloud, or download the app. And I think the app is a little bit more powerful because it has the additional or the easy automations and skills here. Although I haven't used the cloud version, I have to admit, for a while. So maybe they have that too. Right, awesome. So go ahead, try it out. Tell me what you think. I will publish all of this into the newsletter, as always, tomorrow. If you're not on the newsletter, it is aiwithkyle.com. Join the community. You get a bunch of free stuff, a bunch of free courses. There's an AI readiness course, 5-day one, about 100 playbooks, a bunch of other courses about how to start giving AI workshops, how to build a business with artificial intelligence. You get the newsletter. There's a community on Circle, which I think has about 15,000 people in it, doing pretty well. And yeah, and that's all free. So come to aiwithkyle.com and then join the community, and you'll get absolutely everything. In the newsletter tomorrow, I will put together a guide for what Codex is, why you should pay attention, how you can use it, and I'll also point to some other vibe coding resources, other AI coding resources to help you kind of get started, because I know some of this can be very intimidating. I'm also, this is a bigger project, but I'm thinking about putting together probably an accelerator for vibe coding. So taking people from, I have no idea what to do, to building your first applications, building some little toy projects to build up confidence, and then starting to build stuff that's useful for you. And then by the end of the 30 days, building something that could actually be a business. But taking people from the very beginning, because a lot of people start and they run into things like this. ChatGPT saying, okay, now just open up the terminal and set up a local host. And they're like, I don't know what that means. I have no idea what you're talking about. And they very understandably bounce off. So I'm thinking about putting together an accelerator where we just kind of work through nice and slowly and get you started building, and then building something you can make money from. That's the key, because it's a huge opportunity right now. Awesome. I'm going to hop off with that. Make sure you're signed up to the newsletter, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.